Welcome everybody to LegionsCast. That's right. You thought you were expecting something different? Hold on to your butts. This is LegionsCast. I'm your host, Lord Steven Bushotee. That's right, I have been lorded. Yeah, I'm just going to give you a second to take it all in. I'm here. I'm here with you. I'm here for you today, but I'm not the only one. I have a special guest. He's been hosting the show with me for a long time. I think everybody probably will be happy to see Mr. Mythic Legions, the original LBC, the inventor of dry brushing, the master of the pop and swap. He who has the distinct privilege of being my co-host tonight. He also gets to be the director of sales and marketing for some place called Four Horsemen Studios. Let's hear it, everybody, for Jeremy Gerard.
Thank you very much, Lord Steven.
What's up, man?
Nothing. Very special episode tonight.
That's right. That's right.
So,
we have the LegionsCast power here tonight.
You know, so many people have been asking for a new LegionsCast, and we've had such a hard time coordinating schedules that last week I was like, you know what? Let's just do LegionsCast, a live LegionsCast on Mythic Conversations. And then I started thinking about those like wonderful crossover episodes like back in the 80s with like sitcoms where like facts of life would be on different strokes and everything and things like that. And actually, Steven, let me bring this up. I don't know if you saw this, but when I didn't want anybody to know what we were doing tonight. So this is the teaser. This is the placeholder that I used pre the show for tonight. So I literally said a very special episode. And some people caught on and they were joking around with it because I was thinking about those episodes like of like different strokes where like, you know, where like Arnold gets molested by the guy that runs the bike shop. You know what I'm talking about? Or we're going to talk about the dangers of drug abuse.
Yes.
But what I didn't remember is I also used the words very special to describe the upcoming All-Stars wave. So I think I may have falsely set expectations that people thought that tonight was going to be some big giant reveal, but instead what they're really getting is Steven and Jeremy doing LegionsCast.
That's awesome because they got something better. That's an upgrade, right?
Yeah, this is better than a reveal, right?
Heck yes, it is. I mean, I don't know what gets better than this. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. We got things to talk about.
We do.
You've got a whole itinerary for tonight set up. First off, I'm just going to ask you a customizing question right off the bat. Hair dryer or hot water?
Hot water.
Why?
I use a hair dryer only when I'm dealing with custom painted parts. But when it comes to like having to pull apart factory pieces, especially large amounts of them, I can go faster with hot water.
What about to make paint dry faster?
I never do it. I never ever do it.
Is there anything wrong with doing it?
Honestly, I didn't know it was a thing until I went to the studio and saw Cameron and Sherry doing it.
Oh, I didn't know they did it.
I kept hearing blow dryers go on. I was in the studio and I'm like, is someone blow drying their hair? Like constantly? Because you hear blow dryers in that studio all day. And I never knew what it was. And then I figured out that, yeah, they're using it to, at least I assume so. I've never actually asked Cameron or Sherry, but I see what they're doing. So I don't do that. I realize now that that's a thing, and I've talked to other people that do it. Do you use the blow dryer to dry paint?
It's right. This is where I customize. It's right here. It's plugged in under my desk. It's ready to go, man.
I'm gonna look at some of these comments. I bet you people are talking about what a great surprise this is. And they went right from great surprise to talking about how nice our hair looks.
Well, that's always, as men, I don't think we hear that enough.
I got a fresh cut, Steven.
You
just
do.
because,
You look good.
Well, I couldn't come on not looking my best for you.
Now you're making me feel guilty because I didn't get a fresh cut, but I did go to extra lengths to get a nice wave in there.
I appreciate that. Curtis Ackerman. I've missed Curtis. I've heard that Curtis is on the Facebook ban, so I haven't been speaking to him as frequently as I normally do. And he's telling us that it's like Christmas came early. Nice. I knew that Curtis would very much enjoy this tonight.
Yeah.
Star is saying, I thought this was a what if episode. Jeremy is a guest on his own show.
Look at it that way.
So Joe Bassapolo says, I knew it was Steve. Before the show tonight, Joe messaged me and he asked that we were going back and forth. He asked if I needed anything from him. But I said, no, I'm just getting ready for the show. And he asked, something about tonight's show. And I said, it's going to be very funny. And he said, is it going to be puppets? A puppet Jeremy. He said, is it going to be a puppet Jeremy? And I said, no, better. And then he said, is it going to be like sock puppets, like Muppet style? So he was very much on the puppet idea. And I said, no. And then he said, is it Steven? That was the progression. It was
like this.
It was puppet Jeremy, sock puppet Muppets, Steven.
I mean, top three behind two types of puppets. I mean, I'll take it.
Joe saying that his blow dryer is pink as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so I do like the hot water. Do you never use hot water? Do you totally do?
Pretty much. I pretty much use blow dryer for everything. Hot water seems more of a pain to me, and it's just so. If I'm doing something here and I need to pull something apart, I got to get up and get the hot water, where I can just reach under my desk and grab the blow dryer.
Yeah.
I actually got a blow dryer for Christmas because I kept stealing my daughter's, which is the pink one. So I got a blow dryer for Christmas. It's black. I never even used it. I just gave it to them. I'm like, I'm fine as long as I have one, because I would get down here and get customized, realizing my blow dryer is gone because the girls took it, and now that doesn't happen. So because they've got my new one that I got for Christmas.
Same here. I stole my wife's blow dryer, but she got like a fancy special kind of blow dryer, now that became mine. I like the fact, this is my favorite comment here. Drew Grubbs says, I use a hair dryer to dry paint. I get some funny looks when a bald man tries to buy a hair dryer.
Yeah, I bet. People just, when they see my hair, they're just like, yeah, they want to know what brand I buy because, it's like, we want to have hair like that guy.
Tony says, Anthony is saying that Tony is happy to see Steven and Uncle Jeremy on the screen at the same time.
Hey, Tony, what's up?
Hey,
how's that
Tony.
Savage He-Man doing?
We just blown his mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so what are we talking about tonight, Steven? Where do you want to start?
I got a question.
Okay. Yeah.
This is questions that you're not usually going to get, answers you're not going to usually get out of you because you're not going to ask yourself these questions. So that's why it's good to have me on every now and then. Director of Sales and Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how that title came about. Like when you're doing the whole, I'm going to work for Four Horsemen now, was there a conscious decision to be like, all right, so what's my title going to be? I think I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing. And then did you get like a gold plate or something somewhere that says that that's your title? Because I don't think anybody else there probably has titles. Like, I don't know if Cornboy has something on his door that says he's project manager or whatever he may call himself. But I assume that a guy like you would want a placard or something.
I don't have a placard. I didn't ask for the title. I was given the title. I was told that this is my title.
Oh, nice. I like it.
You know who told me?
I'm going to guess. Jim.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Jim move. He's gonna tell you what you are.
Power move by Jim. He's
Totally,
just like,
man.
yep. So he told me, this is what I'm coming in as. This is what you are, and you don't question Jim.
You
Jim,
don't. I don't question Jim.
He's got the plan.
All my figures in my shelves now are facing the wrong way. I can't even see them now, just because of Jim. Like, they want their backs to me. That's how Jim says it's gotta be. Cool. Well, that's something I just, it's behind the scenes stuff I always just wanted to know.
There you go.
I pictured it much differently. I pictured it you being like...
Did you picture me demanding a title?
I pictured you getting excited when you found out you were going to get the job, and you were like this. You were like, what's my title? That's what I pictured. And then they're like, we haven't even thought about it. And then you'd be like, how about Director of Marketing and Sales? The fourth floor Haasman.
No, I didn't. It's not how I say. Is that really how I say horse?
Haas.
Haas.
Yeah. Gonna get on this Haas over here. It's awesome. I love it. I love listening to you just because you're... It's funny because, when we went to Zolocon a few weeks ago, I got to be the one where people were asking me when I'm walking around Zolocon, like other vendors, they'd be like, where are you from? And I'm like, from Michigan. And they're like, yeah, I could tell there was something with your accent. And I'm like, I don't have an accent. You got an accent.
Yeah, I don't hear a thick accent with you.
No, I think I just typical Midwestern, but I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something there. With you, it's awesome, and it comes out. I love it when it really comes out strong. I get really excited.
I do find it comes out more when I'm excited, and it will only be there a little bit, but then I'll hit a word like Haas that it just hits hard.
Yeah,
really hard.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Okay, so we're 13 minutes in, and we're talking about our hair and my titles. Let's
maybe this is my wife is going to kill me. Maybe it's not even LegionsCast. We'll get to the Legions in about 2 hours.
Let's talk about All-Stars 5.
What's that?
That is this time of year when I get lots of messages from people telling me that they did not receive an email to vote. And I do my best to help them. All-Stars 5 today was the second round of emails that went out. So, of course, if you're watching the show and you're down with the Legions, you know that we did the first round, 20 different choices broken down into 3 groups. We took the top 10 from those groups and brought them into the next round. Let me actually bring this up here, Steven. We can look at that. Well, this is the Instagram post that went up today, but it's a good one to use. These are the 10 remaining characters that are available. The votes have already started pouring in. Steven, I'm curious, who did you vote for?
No one. I have not voted.
You have not voted yet. Did you not get your email?
I don't know. I'm actually looking for it right now. Let's see here. Wow, these are old. What would it be under? What'd you send it to me from? Is it from Jeremy Gerard or what?
It came from Jeremy at sourcehorseman.com.
Did it really?
It did. And a number of people actually, a number of people reached out and commented on how cool that was that I got to have an official Source Horseman email.
All right, I have it in front of me. I did not vote for the first round. I have not voted.
You didn't even vote for the first round?
No, I don't believe in this voting stuff. I'm a lord. You're born with certain rights. If these figures are the ones that need to be made, they're born with that. That should just happen. I don't believe in this democratic voting baloney.
Oh my. Well, Lord Steven, if you did have to vote in this round, what would you vote for? And let me read some of these comments here. What people are saying here. Source Pilgrim says Bromden, Romulus, and Elf Ranger. Let the salt flow. Those are good choices.
Yeah.
Alexander Deshaw saying Romulus indeed. Sean Scavarna?
Scavarna.
Scavarna? I know Sean, but I've never actually said that name. Like, whenever I see Sean post a comment in the Cabal, I say Sean, and then I just skip his last name. Like, my brain doesn't actually read it because I wasn't sure how to say it. Scavarna. I like that name. It sounds very Nordic.
Yeah. He's got these cool... I met him in person a few times. I've known him for years. Good artist. Great artist. Does some cool things. Big in the Motu community.
Yeah, he does the podcast.
He does the podcast.
The podcast. I met him at LegionsCon. Great guy.
Yes. Yes, Legends of Grayskull.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. Love Sean.
Yep.
Has these really cool eyes. When you stare into his eyes, you just want to keep staring. Did you notice that?
I did not. I saw Sean recently at Zolocon, actually. He came down with Jesse.
Yeah. Dudes with cool eyes. Number 1, Curtis Ackerman. All right? That guy, you get lost in that guy's eyes. Number 2, Sean Scavarna.
Okay. When I see Sean next, I'm going to stare right into that man's eyes.
Check him out and then give him a hug. And
he said Romulus, Azar, and Bromden.
So am I on the right one? Is this All-Stars 5 round 2?
Yes.
All right. When you're done reading your things, I'm going to do this.
Dorklair
right now.
Bill is saying Romulus, Ilgar, and Azar. Joe Vassapolo giving out some wonderfully helpful advice. If you do not see your email, check your junk folder or your spam folder. Braku Prime saying Romulus, Bromden, and Azar. I'm seeing a lot of votes for Romulus here. Curtis Ackerman said he went off script. The man with the beautiful eyes said he didn't want to vote popular votes, so he did Bromden, the Vampire Knight, and Grisha. Very cool. Rosedale says Azar, Romulus, Silverhorn Sentry, Ilgar, Hagnon, Faustia, Romulus, Azar, Sentry. So we've got a pretty interesting mix, but we're seeing a lot of the same ones come up. Daniel Douglas, who has been campaigning hard for Silverhorn Sentry. Silverhorn Sentry, Dare to Dream. I got to say that as wonderful as Cullen Culp's promo posters for Blue Hagnon have been, the designer in me absolutely appreciates the aesthetic, artistic quality of all the promos that Daniel has done. I really would love to see Silverhorn make it this year, so we will see. Drew Grubbs.
There's another one, Fawn. You just said Fawn. Yeah, like Fawn.
Elk Ranger, Bromden, and Silverhorn.
Yeah. Well, you work it.
So we got a lot of comments in here. I'm not going to read all of them. Steven, who are you voting for?
All right. I'm going to do this right now, and I'm going to vote for Romulus, because Romulus, I don't know. He's truly worthy. He's from the gods. He's awesome. His color palette, and I love the Spartan Warriors anyways.
Yep.
And I'm going to go with Azar, because
you're going with the Yellow Demon. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. As a person who had missed out originally on the demons and wanted to get them later, and then they offered the Blue Demon, I've since gotten Azar. Yeah, but Walter Hagen helped me out with that. And but I still just feel for those people that are wanting to complete that duo, and I'm going to help them out because I'm a man of the people. I'm a lord of the people here. And I'm going to my last. This is hard, but I'm going to go with. It's hard. All right, I'm really struggling here between King Bromdom and Ilgar. I love King Bromdom, but I do have 3 of them already that are sitting there in the package, so I'm going to go with Ilgar.
Okay. So that was Ilgar, Azar, and Romulus.
Yep.
So my 3, Steven, since you asked so nicely.
Yeah, what's up?
I picked Silverhorn Sentry.
Okay.
Love that figure. I love the colors of him, the brown armor. It's something we don't have a lot of in the line, so from a customizing standpoint, I like that. I also think it's a great army builder type character. 2 different heads. I know people, I think one of the things that people don't like about him is the fact that he does have the hooved feet. So if you want to make him something other than a fawn-like character, There's a little bit of a challenge, but painting some extra feet to match, not a big problem at all. Even if, especially if you have a figure like Vorthog, if you have a Vorthog figure that comes with 2 sets of feet, if you're using the bare feet, or now that there's hands and feet pack, people are swapping feet more frequently. More and more people are going to have extra sets of feet in their fodder bins. I think you can replace those feet on him pretty easy. Number 2, I did go Ilgar as well. Ilgar, the paint, the oxidized paint on that armor is so incredibly cool and impressive. Terribly hard to find figure these days. And, skeletons are cool. So that was the second one. For the third one, I did go a little off script. For the third one, I actually chose Elf Ranger.
Yeah.
I want to get a 2.0 body in there. I'm looking at the stuff that's been coming down. And it seems like, Steven, there was a point that all we had was 2.0 bodies readily available, and we had no 1.0, and that's course corrected. So we do have some 2.0 stuff coming, but the Elf Ranger is a great figure. That's my third vote.
Love the Elf Ranger. It's a fantastic figure.
It is.
If I was when he was available for quite a long time on Big Bad Toy Store, I would grab him every now and then and just put him in my loot, my cart, my bag of loot or whatever they call that.
Pile of loot.
I'd put him in my pile of loot, and so I've got a few of those, and that's the only reason I didn't vote for him, because I really love that figure.
One of my favorite pop-in swaps with Elf Ranger, because the Elf Ranger has the green torso in like waist piece, but then he's got brown arms and legs.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
If you get the Lord Adon figure, the elf, like the elf mentor to Artemis, yes. He's actually got a brown torso, and you can put that on. I mean, you can just swap those parts, and he's got a brown torso with like green armor pieces. So literally, you can swap those pieces amongst each other, and you end up with 2 totally different looking elf kind of color schemes. Instead of the green with brown, all brown, super easy swap that looks great.
Awesome. That's cool. I want to do that.
So think about this for a second. All Stars, there's a limited number of figures you can choose from. The studio decides, okay, this is going to be the roster for this year. And characters that are not included for specific reasons. In some cases, they've already been an All-Star. In other cases, there may be plans for them in the future. In other cases, they're like the PowerCon debut figures, which they've said before they don't really intend on doing. Those are kind of one and done. So there's a limited amount of figures that actually could be put into that vote. Now, Steven, if all bets were off and you could choose any 3 figures from the Mythic Legions line to be reissued as All-Stars, any 3, whether they've been an All-Star, whether they're a PowerCon figure, whatever, which 3 would you choose?
Urzak.
Right.
Oh man. Unkin.
Okay. Do you have an Unkin?
Yes, but I know there's so many people that don't. Like, he's the one. He's the one that I know. Adamant and I don't know if Adamant and Keltis are hard to get, and I think they're expensive. But Unkin's the one that's hard to get if you want to get in the Motu. Like Jeremy DeWitt, he's in that position. He's got them all but Unkin, and I think it's a cool figure. And I just think it would be cool to give all those people that figure. And who? This is so hard. Oh yes, I know. It would be I can't think of his name. Who's the really hard knight to find from we've won the burgundy-ish kind of
Sir Galeron.
Yes. Yep. I do Sir Galeron. Because he's a cool figure. I like that figure a lot. I only have one of them. I'd like to have a few more, and I know that other people would love it too.
It's a great pick. Great pick. I think I would probably go Thord Ironjaw. from the dwarf perspective, that figure, that's one of the first dwarves they did, and I just love the overall look of that figure. It just hits like right on the nose for me in terms of what I feel a dwarf should look like. The only thing I would change is probably the torso. I like the thicker torso better.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably go Vorgus Vermilius, the blood armor.
Again?
He's
already been released once.
I said
re-released.
I said anything.
No.
Vorgus is one that even with the re-release, I think a lot of people don't have them, and I just think it's a cool figure. And we don't have any other figures in the line that have that like blood red type armor.
It just feels dirty. It feels dirty to release a figure that's already been released twice.
Well, that's what I said. If literally you could release anything. You can release anything new. So
there's a measure of guilt that comes with it, though.
Yeah.
Personally,
that's one that I would want again.
It's a great figure. It's a total figure I underestimated too.
Yeah, that's one I would want again. And I actually would go Sir Galeron as well. Sir Galeron, he's probably my most underappreciated figure in the wave. Is one of those figures like we've talked about in the past from that first wave, Orange Steelhide, Sir Ignatius. The armor colors didn't translate wonderfully well to that photography. When people got him in hand, they were really impressed. Sir Galeron is the same way. The colors that you see in the photos versus the actual colors in hand are wildly different. It's a gorgeous figure that you don't hear people talking about because it's so darn rare that people just have never seen one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I wonder why he hasn't ever been included. Maybe it's just popularity.
He has been.
He's never been re-released.
He's never been re-released. He hasn't been in the last few votes.
Oh, but he's been in the vote.
He's been in the vote, and he always does really poorly.
Okay.
He always does really poorly. I think the last time he was in the vote, I'll say this. If we gave that figure to Trevor and Trevor took new pictures of it, I bet you that his standing would improve. Because I think a lot of people, the only photos that exist, the only promo photos are those original ones, which, like I just said, don't do a great job of showing his actual color. But that's one of the reasons, Steven, I was surprised that Sir Owain did so well in the All-Stars 4 vote, because a lot of those early knights, when you put some of those early knight figures up against characters that maybe are more visually appealing, skeletons are super, super popular. They always do really well. But at the end of the day, skeletons and knights seem to me to be the two most popular kinds of figures in the line. Sir Owain did well. Maybe if Galeron had another chance, I'm actually looking at him. Maybe he would do well again, but he never did. He always did really poorly.
It makes me want to give Trevor a challenge. Be like, take Galeron, snap some pics. See if
I don't know if Trevor has one. He just said, "I'll take it." So he might not have a Sir Galeron. He is. So, funny story, Sir Galeron was the first Mythic Legions figure I ever held in hand, and it was a test shot.
Oh, really?
Yep. If you remember, they sold the test shot that December. I think I got a Sir Galeron, and it wasn't Gorgo. I wanted Gorgo, and he wasn't available. So it might have been Sir Ignatius, because I wanted to make that knight type head. I know I got 2 figures, and Sir Galeron was the first one I opened. And then my wife got me 3 more from that first wave.
3 more test shots?
I had Galeron. I had Orange Steelhide. I think it was Sir Ignatius. Oh, no, it was the Barbarian Builder. That's
you don't have any more?
I got rid of all of them.
Oh,
years ago. Years ago. I had Urzok. and one more. I can't remember what the fifth one was, but I had 5 of them. I mean, I had good ones. Yeah, I got to the point where they went up in price so much. Because remember, that point when 1.0 came out and I started customizing, I quickly ate through my order. Like I quickly ate through my fodder. So I was jonesing for more pieces to build and pop and swap and customize. So I had these 5 test shots that I didn't want to. I had actually pop and swapped the test shots. I put them all back in their original condition, and they were going for so much at that point that I was like, well, I can trade these for a bunch of the regular edition figures to fuel this new customizing thing. So that's where all of those went.
Nice. That's, I don't know. Do you regret it now?
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had them, but I'm not a test shot completist. I have like, I don't know, 6 of them. And I'm super happy with the ones I have, but if I had those now, I'd probably end up selling them. So,
all right.
Okay, so what's next on the list? What do we want to talk about next? Have we covered everything with All Stars? By the way, All Stars. I know people are asking. So the vote is going on. The vote ends next Wednesday, or once a certain number of votes are reached. We do have a cap on how many votes we can tally. I will tell you that the number that we have is more votes than we've ever calculated. So it's a high number. So I don't expect that the voting is going to end early. It should end next Wednesday. But once that is done, I know people are asking when this is going to be announced. You'll have to wait and see. Because there are some special plans for this year's All-Stars, but that's all to be revealed.
Cool. So you sent me, here it is. I'm so, I'm not the most prepared guy, if you haven't noticed sometimes. Oh boy, we are on to lore then. And this is going to be, lead us through this, man. This is cool.
So lore, everyone loves when we talk lore. I mean, the Mythic Legions lore is incredibly rich. I did a show, which is one of my most popular shows I've done here on the channel, where I talked about, the lore of Mythic Legions, and I kind of tried to put it in chronological order based on all these different sources. Since I've started working at the studio, I've learned more about the lore and the story, and it's incredibly exciting. And we are discussing plans for how we could better convey this story to the fans. All I can tell you is I'm a huge fan of the lore. I want to have this story told, so we're working on it. But we also do occasionally write lore of mythos articles on the website. So we did one this week. I wrote one this week on the great beasts. So if you know the lore of Mythic Legions, and a lot of this was actually told at the start of the comic book. The Mythic Legions comic, or they called it the Mythic Legions art book, that was part of the first Kickstarter. That has a comic in the beginning of it. If you're in the Mythic Legions Cabal, there's a section for files. There is actually a PDF copy of it in there that you can read on your computer for free. That comic starts with kind of the history of Mythic Legions, the history of mythos, and how it was created. And it talks about, these 2 gods, Selene and Helios, and how they created mythos. And over time, Helios grew jealous of Selene's attention to her children, to her creations. And in turn, he basically created all of the evils of the realm. The worst of the things that he created were the Dark Four. So this is what we know as the 4 horsemen. And let me actually bring up the article, because there's some cool stuff about it that we can look at.
That's what I'm doing too. And it can be found easily at sourcehorseman.com.
Absolutely.
Just scroll down there and you'll see it. Scroll down just a little ways and you'll find it.
So this is one of the images that's in the article, and this is actually taken from the comic. And the way the comic is presented, there's a bard who's actually like kind of singing the opening part. And, he says, the song is sung for all must know of how the Dark Four came, the worst of all that Helios wrought. In Mythos fed the flame, and Mythos fed the flame. But for the four came forth four more, our saviors of the light. They banished all the nightmare nights forever with their might, forever with their might. And you can see in this graphic over on the left, you can see the Dark Four, the four horsemen, and then on the right, you can see in the sky the four great beasts. And that is really what the focus of the article was this week. And, looking at these faction symbols, those four heroic factions are based on those four great beasts. The army of Laodiceus rose up in memory of the great lion Laodiceus, Zylona's flock, the elder Frostdare, convocation of Basilia, the great serpent, and finally the order of Etheron based on the golden eagle Etheron. So these are the four factions. Now, we've only gotten two of these in figure form so far. So Etheron, he was in the Etheron's dozen wave. He used the same tooling as those Gothotropolis birds. And then, of course, Zylona the Frostdare, she was in the Advent of Decay wave. But love talking about this type of stuff, love talking about the lore. And Steven, there was actually some fun new nuggets of information that was dropped in this article this week. Did you catch any of those?
Well, it's been a while since I've read any of this stuff, so a lot of it was, I'm not sure what was old and what was new because a lot of it was a refresher. I have read the comic before, and it's been a while though, and some of the stuff I was like, oh yeah, that's right, and then some stuff I was like, was that there before or wasn't it? So I had, anyways. Is there something specific you want to go on to? The hammer was one that I couldn't remember if it was there from the beginning.
There was two pieces that were mentioned. So the four great beasts, each of them, used a weapon of great power. And after the Dark Four were banished, the great beasts also left Mythos. But leaving them behind, they each left their great weapon of power. Now, we've seen some of these great weapons already. The Heaven's Brand, which was left in the care of the Order of Etheron. That we've actually seen, of course, with Etheron. He comes with that. But we also got that in the Weapons Pack 1 that was part of the first Mythic Legions wave. So if you've got Sir Gideon's Heaven Brand, the leader of that faction, and you've got the Heaven's Brand, you very likely have him wielding it. Do you have those, Steven?
I do. Oh. I did not originally buy the weapons pack, and I felt stupid after Travis got his weapons pack. And that sword makes Gideon Heaven's Brand. That sword makes that figure twice as good.
I agree completely.
So this is years ago, and I was like, okay, this is probably before Advent of Decay. I hunted that down and got that pack so I could put that with him.
Okay.
Also, that also comes with the Aether Blade, so that
yes.
hooks up my Gorgo as well.
Exactly. In Advent of Decay, Zylona comes with the silver cord, but the current holder of that is Artemis Silvercord. So she clearly comes with that bow. Then there's Hera Serpentspire, who comes with the Serpentspire staff. Those are three of the heroic weapons. Of course, the one that is missing is the Leosair hammer, the hammer that is supposed to be wielded by Attila Leosair. Now, the 2-pack that is going to be part of the game that came out as part of the game rewards, the 2-pack with Gorgo Aetherblade, he does actually come with the Leosair hammer. But in the lore article, it was revealed that 3 of the powerful weapons are still in the hands of the faction leaders, but the Leosair hammer has been lost.
Yeah.
So that was a new piece of information that has not been revealed before this point. Stephen, I'm just going to very quickly answer a few questions. Braku Prime says he picked up the comic in Zolocon. Is it the only one? Yes, that is the only comic at this time. Is the lore in the game going to be canon? I believe it is. I think there's a lot of information that's coming out soon about the game. I think a lot of the stuff in the game is going to be, side things that are happening while the major events go on. But I believe that all this stuff is going to connect. It's actually part of what we're talking about right now. And then Colin Culp says, Bard Gerard has blessed us with a tune. And I just love the fact that he called me Bard Gerard. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
So that was one of the pieces of information. The other one was when it talked about the Dark Four. And this really brings us to what we're seeing now. So what it says in Bard Gerard, will do a little bit more reading. It says, years of relative peace have come to an end in the realm of mythos. The finding of the dreaded Aether Blade has allowed the evil warmonger, Gorgo, to recall his dark master from where the great beasts had banished him. So in that comic, the last panels are Gorgo reuniting, Aether with the Aether Blade, calling Aether up. The article goes on to say, with the return of Aether, a new age of darkness descends on the realm. The vampire queen Alithia rises, as does the Lord of Disease known as Poxus. With their evil weapons of power in hand, weapons whose terrible abilities rival those of their heroic counterparts, 3 of the 4 horsemen once again ride in mythos. Only the 4th horseman, Necronominus, remains in his exile. Thankfully, the foul weapon this dark power once wielded, the God Raiser, remains lost. This has kept the final horseman imprisoned for now at least. So in that passage there, that name, the God Raiser, has never been published anywhere else.
Okay. I thought that I didn't remember the God Raiser. It is a badass name. That's just whoever came up with that. Kudos. And I can't wait to see it, and I love that. So they need to find the God Raiser to get him out of prison, correct? Isn't that what it's the key to getting him out of prison?
If you look at what's been published so far, Gorgo reuniting, getting the Aether Blade and being able to call back his Dark Master, that weapon was clearly a key to that. And we see that as we go forward. In the Soul Spiller wave, we got a wave called Soul Spiller long before we got Alithia. And Alithia's dark weapon is the Soul Spiller. There's some language in there that talks about the fact that the Soul Spiller was hidden away. This is part of one of the battles in the north that weapon actually gets reclaimed and presented back to the vampires so they can call back Alithia. And then Azar and Zazar, the demon brothers, they find the Plague Sayer, which is the bow that Poxus uses. And by getting that bow, they're able to call back the Lord of Disease. So you see this pattern where once they find the dark weapon, that dark weapon allows them to call back this dark master. And one by one, we're seeing the Dark Four start to rise.
That is ingenious.
I wrote an article for Poxus where I talked about, him coming back, and the article ended with a line, something similar to, 3 of the 4 horsemen, now return to mythos. All that remains, ... is death. And, the fact that Necronominus, which is, the horsemen represent the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse loosely. Aether is war, Alithia is famine, Poxus is disease or pestilence. So clearly that only leaves one more. That leaves Necronominus, which is death. So ending the article that way, I thought was a lot of fun.
Super cool. And
Oh,
gives
Lord.
us so much more weight. It gives so much more weight to the great beasts because they're the counterparts of the four horsemen.
Yep.
I've had Xylona on my shelf for a long time, and I don't pay her a whole lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't pay that figure a whole lot of attention, and it's a hugely important figure or character
Absolutely.
to this whole story.
Well, a lot of people are speculating that we've seen 4 waves, or we will see a 4th wave. We've seen 3 waves so far that focus on the Dark Four. And there's been a lot of speculation that after this year, after Necronominus makes his return, that it's going to flip and we're going to start seeing the great beasts return. So that's an interesting theory. I've also heard people say that, next year we've gotten these, because all of these horseman waves are like what I kind of call versus waves, where you've got, Poxus versus Basilia, Leodicius versus, Erether. So a lot of people are saying there's only 2 factions that haven't had that treatment. Of course, the 2 splinter factions, House of the Noble Bear and Sons of the Red Star, which ironically are our 2 favorite factions, right?
Yes.
You love the House of the Noble Bear with all the barbarians, and I love all of the thieves and cutthroats in the Sons of the Red Star.
Yes. In fact, in my version of this, Attila is not the one who wields the hammer. Atlas ends as the rightful wielder of the hammer.
Well, we know they're brothers. We know the lore already says that there is some drama there, that Atlas is the older brother and something caused him to renounce his claim to the throne, and Attila has, taken that leadership in his place. So I don't know. It's a theory that certainly has some merit.
He just would look more badass with a hammer.
He would look pretty cool with a hammer. I like barbarians with hammers.
Well, barbarians with hammers are awesome.
When I think barbarian, I think bludgeoning weapons versus more swords and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if they do have a sword, it needs to be a big sword.
Yeah.
Big, brazen, heavy son of a gun. Something that Juno the Crusher couldn't hold.
So funny, when I was a kid, I always had He-Man wield his axe versus his sword.
I think that's more common than you think.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you were early in your He-Man days. If you look at the early mini comics, He-Man wielded his axe a lot. The sword didn't.
I loved those mini comics, so maybe that's some of that original art influenced me to display him that way.
The cover of him fighting that big octopus thing, he's got his axe.
Yeah.
I think the cartoon is when the sword took center stage. Because in the beginning, He-Man didn't transform. So yeah.
So it was all part of that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I want to talk about with lore. Again, as Steven said, it's right on sourcehorseman.com. You can go there. You can check out all the articles, but there are a couple different lore articles in there. And I did hear a number of people say that when I referenced my lore episode a while ago, that I promised an episode 2, and I still owe that to you. Trust me. I'm just gathering enough information to actually do that content. So it'll be there someday.
Awesome. I love this stuff. So, what's next, my friend?
I don't know. You have the list. This is your show, right? Wow. It's LegionsCast. It's your show.
It's LegionsCast. I'll tell you what we really need to talk about is some cosmic stuff.
Oh boy.
We've been seeing this this fight poster teaser thing around, and Jeremy, I want to know what's going on with that.
So let me bring this up, and I'm bringing up the official Four Horsemen Studios Instagram page right now. So this image was dropped on Monday. This poster here. We just dropped it, and all it said, as you can read, it says transmission received, fight night at the grave 040222. Stay tuned for further intelligence. Yeah, I mean, clearly we can see that we've got Thygar there over to the left, and then we've got a shadowy figure over to the right. So all of the people, Star is in here freaking out, saying, here we go. Every single week, I see these comments saying, when are we going to hear more about Cosmic? When are we going to hear more about Cosmic? Well, here's some Cosmic teasers for you. We've got only a little bit of information so far, but what we've got is pretty cool. What did you think about this image when it dropped?
The first thing I thought about it was, I mean, obviously, your brain goes to the left and you see Thygar and you go, okay, I've already seen that. And then you look at the shadowed out, the blacked out figure that you can't really see except for an outline. And I say, okay, there's an elongated looking alien-esque creature that I don't think we've seen before. It looks like some new parts. It looks like some new stuff thrown into the mix here, and I'm excited. And also, I love the fact that I'm guessing they gave us these two in scale, so this thing's going to be taller than Thygar. I just really want to see it, and I'm hoping you're going to surprise me and show it to me tonight.
I am sorry to tell you that I'm not going to show it to you tonight.
Oh, come on. No, it's really cool. I love this. You've got this, the grave, if you remember. I know you remember, Jeremy, but if people remember, the grave was talked about in the first wave as it's like some arena of like a pit fighting type thing up in space. It's a level on that planet, if I remember right, where you go down and pit fight. And we get two versions of Thygar, where, you know, he's in more of a space suit, but they reference him as at some point have been involved in the pit fights. And this vision is more the pit fighter, what we're seeing in front of us. Am I correct?
It is. And actually, the spacesuit version, as you refer to it, that is an earlier version of Thygar. That is called Thygar Volcatar. Volcatar is the name of the first wave. Volcatar is the name of the prison that we find all of these characters in. The shirtless Thygar, for lack of a better name, his actual name is Thygar Gravering. So you are correct, Stephen, that the grave is the nickname given to cell block 5, which is the lowest block in the Volcatar prison. Speaking of lore, if we talk about cosmic lore for a minute, Volcatar is not only a prison and not only houses inmates, but it also is charged with the production of, you know, a number of different things, including medicines, including, you know, starship parts, and all these different things are actually produced at this prison. This cell block, this, you know, cell block 5 called the grave, there is indeed a fighting pit in the middle of it. The cells around that fighting pit are actually called the grave ring. And in series 1, wave 1, we actually met a number of characters, Thygar being one of them, that were part of an affiliation called Grave Ring. This group of inmates who met, you know, in this cell block have taken their name from those ring of cells. They call themselves Grave Ring. So that's all some of the history. So we get this piece here, and this fight poster clearly has, you know, some text on it. And this uses a bunch of different fonts. Some of the fonts people have deciphered. Did you decipher any of them, Stephen?
No, I'm too dumb. But I you know, you can see stuff. I mean, if you just look at it right now, it looks like it says Thygar. Oak Thygar is what I would guess.
It says
in the red.
Thygar.
Okay, yeah, in the red type. I mean, it's a really cool font. I don't know if if somebody at the Horseman created it or if they took it from somewhere, but you can kind of read it. I mean, it's kind of English, but not. Chipitcom? I don't know.
The character's name is, I don't know how to say it yet. I call him Aius. It's Aius.
Okay. What's this Chipitcon?
I forget how to say it actually. It's
okay.
It's like CYPPITEON.
TEON. Oh.
So to answer your question, all of those font files are things that Eric Treadaway actually created.
Yeah.
So there are 3 different typefaces or fonts on here. That is the most readable. There's also this one down here, which people decipher this lowest one, and it actually says available at Store Horseman and other fine retailers.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now, all of these squiggly lines, that is not readable text. There's no way you're going to figure out what that is. But guess what, Steven?
What?
They all do say something. Every piece of text on here says something. And I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes. This first block of text right here, any guess what that says?
Says, listen to
LegionsCast. 3 words.
4 Horsemen Studios.
You got it, man. So there you go. I just gave everyone who's trying to decipher this a little bit of a hint. That text up in the top left corner actually says 4 Horsemen Studios. So there you go. A little bit of fun text for you there. And you can read some of the other stuff here. You know, under the grave, it says Volcatar Cell Block 5. Over here, it says 040222. And then it says 800 p.m. EST or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So that is a bit of a drop talking about April 2nd, 2022, which is, do you know what date that is, Steven? There's something happening that day.
Dang, did I forget my anniversary again?
Not this time.
April 2nd? No, I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.
So that is actually the next Intern for a Day event at 4 Horsemen Studios. If you remember during the Kickstarter and the private crowdfunding campaign for the Mythic Legions Tactics War of the Aetherblade game, one of the options was to visit 4 Horsemen Studios as an intern for a day. There was one that happened in November of last year for Mythic Weekend. It was right before the Poxis wave reveal. And then the next one is happening next Saturday. Next Saturday will be one. Going to be a super fun day. I will be at 4 Horsemen Studios, of course, to help greet some of the interns. One cool thing about that, if you are in the Cabal, you may have noticed today that Great Hall Game Studios, along with 4 Horsemen Studios, and of course, the Mythic Legions Cabal, announced a new contest where a lucky winner is actually going to win a ticket and the ability to bring a guest to next weekend's Intern for a Day experience. So what they're actually asking people is to, do this photo challenge, comb through some of the awesome imagery that the game team have been sharing over the past few months. Post the one that you are most excited for, the one that you saw that really blew you away. There's a certain hashtag that they're using. I think it's like Tactics Game Challenge, something like that. But post that. You can check in the Cabal. They've got all the information, but that's going to be super cool to be able to come to Intern. And guess what? Looks like there's going to be a little something going on that night at 8 p.m. Like the post says, stand by for further intelligence. But seems to me like this is some further intelligence. Wouldn't you say, Steve?
Yes, sir. And I unfortunately have never been able to had the pleasure to be involved directly with Intern for a Day. And someday I hope that happens. However, I have gotten to see the afterglow. I was, down there for Legions Con last year,
Mhm.
and the night that we arrived, we traveled the day of the intern for a day, and so we got to the hotel, and I got to see all the people coming back from it who were staying at our hotel, and they were smiles ear
Yeah.
to ear. Everybody was happy. Everybody was saying how cool it was. I got to see the little painting projects that they got to do. I think Eric Miller showed me the one he painted, which was awesome, of course. Um, and just it really made me feel like I missed out on something, and so that's pretty cool that they get to go. And not only do they get to do that, it looks like some information drop might happen as well. Um, I think this is really cool. I'm expecting to see. Hopefully, I'm expecting. I don't know, just my guess, that we're going to see other posters like this, maybe pitting, a silhouette against other characters that we know have also fought in the grave or the ring, whatever you want to call it. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Funny you should say that, Steven. This
Look at this.
afternoon, this one dropped. So Monday, we got that first poster. And then today, we get this one, which same layout, same information, two different fighters. So clearly on the left of this one, we've got Zeri. Star asking the question on that first poster if the figures were in scale with each other. Close-ish. I didn't have the two figures side by side for the posters, so close-ish.
Close-ish. We'll take it. That's cool. I did not see this earlier today. I've had kind of a busy day and have not been on the internet a whole lot, so this is really cool. Yeah. Look, it looks like a tail there, huh? That's cool.
Do you know the first thing that I thought when I saw this character?
Looks like my Oogaloo hair.
And thank you to Trevor for posting this character's name in the chat. When this character's name was revealed to me, I said, I cannot wait to hear Travis pronounce this.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be amazing.
MBYRN. I love when Travis, I think my favorite thing when he pronounces names is when he struggles to say it like 3 times, and then he just says like, like he just mumbles some incoherent, and that becomes the name.
Yes, it is a sight to be seen, to watch that guy's big cranium that you think has this big brain in it, but it's just there's so much wasted space in there.
So this is the next one. So we've now seen a second one of these posters without revealing too much, because I do have to be careful what I say, of course. We're starting to see a pattern here. So we're starting to see, okay, characters we've seen before. This is the grave. This is the fighting pit. This is a versus poster. What are you thinking, Steven?
I'm excited. I love this. I'm very excited. I like that. Looks like maybe maybe an edged weapon sticking off that forearm there, possibly. That looks like a cool weapon to stab somebody with. It's just my brain is trying to fill in the blanks, and it's useless because it's not going to do it. But
I will say this, Steven. The one bit of information I will say, because I have seen them all, these are some of the most toyrific designs I've seen the studio ever do.
Toyrific.
And what I mean by that is, when you see toys that their design is so wildly over the top and impractical, but it just makes for such an awesome visual, like such an awesome toy.
Yeah.
Like in a real world setting, totally impractical, but you're like, that looks amazing and I love it. It's just visually so rich. That is what I really felt about these figures.
I've gotten more and more excited about Cosmic. over the since it was announced. I mean, when it was first announced, I was obviously excited, and I wasn't one of those people that was let down. There was a couple people, I shouldn't say let down, but there was a couple people that didn't get what they expected to get, I should say.
Yep.
And I wasn't one of those people because I really didn't have a lot of expectations. And I have blind faith in the Horsemen that, I just do. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that they're going to deliver and I know that whatever I thought I was going to get, half the time their stuff is better. And then the next part, it is the waves down the road will fill in a lot of stuff that I maybe wanted. So I don't know, just, it's fun to just be back to this. Cause honestly, I mean, with Poxus and everything we got to see, we know that's coming, and we've been, the waves that are coming are all mythic. It's kind of like our brains haven't been in the cosmic space in a while. And so it's kind of fun to get back into that space.
Dude, having multiple properties is super exciting. I saw a lot of people when that first image was posted. I saw a lot of people asking whether it was Figura Obscura. They were like, is this a Figura Obscura release? Is this going to be an in-stock item? Is this going to be our first, in-stock cosmic figure? And that combination, because for so many years we had mythic, and now we've got cosmic. And then last year to get cosmic and then to have Figura Obscura sneak up on everybody, that is super exciting. I will tell people this, reveals like this, big drawn out teasers, you're not going to see that for Figura Obscura. Figura Obscura is going to catch you by surprise, excite and delight you, but it's all going to happen really, really quickly, like what happened with Krampus.
Nice.
But this combination, what you just said, Steven, being so focused on mythic. I mean, because we went from the amazing Poxus wave, and then all of the excitement for reinforcements, hitting and everything. Even this past weekend with, All Stars 4, with, the in-stock sale for that, we've been so focused on this mythic mindset that you drop a poster like this, and you're right. People are like, oh, cosmic. I forgot that's a thing. Today, Steven, someone posted in the Cabal, they said, what's your 5 most anticipated figures from the Horsemen you have on pre-order? And one of the ones I answered was the Sphexian Block Commander. And someone replied and they were like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot about Cosmic in this conversation. That's a whole different thing. So I agree with you. It adds a whole other dimension, no pun intended. But additionally, when you said that you're getting more excited for Cosmic, Mythic gave us so much out of the gate to be excited for. There was so much variety in that first wave right from the start. We didn't get that type of variety. We certainly didn't get the breadth of characters and everything in Cosmic 1, and that's intentional. I've said it a few times. This is going to be a slow build, but by the time multiple waves have come out, you're really going to start to see the universe of Cosmarium starting to take shape. And I think people that may have held off on Cosmic are going to have some big regrets that they didn't get in when it was just starting out.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't, I think we're going to see a lot of it. We're going to see a lot of people trying to get these figures that aren't, they won't be available readily for them, and it's going to be. I think history is going to repeat itself. Yeah. It's going to repeat itself on a bigger scale.
I agree
because the fandom is bigger now. There's we've grown, and I think it's gonna continue. We're at I think this line is still a toddler.
Yeah.
And then the first 1.0, it was a baby. And I don't think we're even close to being adolescent. So, it's going to grow, and people are going to be after these figures. So, those of us that ordered up, I think we're going to be safe, and we're going to feel good that we did it. And those that didn't are going to be like, oh, can you help me out? And
I ordered a whole extra set, like one extra all in just to sit on. And let's be honest, I'm going to get them and I'm going to rip them all open and pop and swap them and customize them because
yeah,
we never have enough. So Bill from Dorklair is actually the person that posted that question today about pre-order figures. He mentioned that he said Legion specifically because he wanted Cosmic. He even included Cosmic, but his comment I think is spot on where he says, someone commented on my video today that they don't like Cosmic even though they're huge Legions fans. It's not that uncommon a take, but those people are going to regret skipping long term, I think. And I agree completely. That's just what I was saying. I think as we start seeing this build out, when we start seeing the different types of characters and races and everything, and certainly once people who really wanted a Space Marine realize that you can just get a Tusk Soldier and pop a Magnus head on it and you've got a pretty darn cool Space Marine, I think people are very much going to regret skipping on this. Or there's going to be a figure that comes out in one of the subsequent waves that just totally talks to them, speaks to them, and they say, you know what, I'm going to get just that one Cosmic. And we all know how that ends, right, Steven?
yeah. And plus, I've met plenty of people that are like, yeah, I'm not into the dwarfs, and so they stay away from the dwarfs, and then they get a dwarf, and then they're like, oh darn, I gotta have more of these dwarves. I know we talked a little bit earlier about Sean Scavarna, his podcast partner Matthew Dooch.
Yep.
He is anti-human, so he only wants non-human Mythic Legions characters. Till he opened one the other day, and now he's like, okay, I like knights now.
Who do you open?
I can't remember. I wish I would have said if because I was trying to think of myself, and it might have even, I don't think it might have been Sir Gerard. I'm not sure, but it was a humanoid figure, and he was like, yeah, I got to rethink this. Yeah, so I mean, I hear it all the time. So it's going to be the same sort of thing. You're going to be like, yeah, it is a shifting of gears, and you got your head in, like I said, you got your head in the Mythic Legion space, and then shifting the gears over. But I don't know. Yeah. I would rather. Not only am I excited about it, but if you, I've learned my lesson of passing on things from the Four Horsemen. I've learned the lesson. I've done it. I don't have a Gadriel now. Now I got to hunt down a Gadriel. Okay, why didn't I get a Gadriel? Because she was like $50, and I was like, all right, I could buy a few Legion builders, and I didn't pass on the Legion builders on the first Kickstarter, and I'm not going to do that again. So I could probably get like 3 Legion builders almost for the price of one Gadriel, and I was trying to keep costs down, so I didn't get Gadriel. Now I regret it because I didn't think I needed that one.
Yep.
Now I need that one. I've learned my lesson.
Yep. And I tell people all the time, if you have, the ability to go all in, it's a great thing to do because you get to see every single one of them. And the reality is if there's any that you don't like, you can easily turn them around for, more than you paid for them, because you're going to be paying $37 for a standard figured in the, pre-order. And the minute the pre-order is done, retail jumps to $50. Now, realistically, I don't know a ton of people that do that, get them in hand and go, yeah, this one isn't what I expected, I'm selling it. Like, most people are like, these are awesome, I'm keeping all of them.
And if you're into the toy collecting game, most people that are into Mythic Legions, they're in the game. I'm sure most of them don't just collect Legions.
No, I think most people collect multiple lines.
Do you know what kind of trade bait you're going to have if you got in on this? If you got in on Cosmic, and let's say you got them, and I think you'll be crazy if you do this, but said, yeah, well, this still isn't for me. You know how many people are going to be searching for them?
Yeah.
Just the trade bait, you got to learn your lesson, folks. Don't pass. Obviously, toys in general are not a necessity, but if you're in the toy collecting game and you're able, and this is what you do, you can afford it, you should not pass.
Yeah. And whenever I have these conversations, I always make it a point to say, if you are financially able to do
Yeah.
it. You know, I'm Steven, I'm very lucky. I have not, my collection and my hobby, the things that I do for my hobby have helped fund and fuel my hobby for many, many, many years. I'm very fortunate in that regard. I get not everybody has that ability and they do have to pick and choose. So I never want anyone to feel like they are less of a fan or, they're missing out because they can't go all in. Everyone's got to do what's right for them. If a new wave comes out and you get one figure, it's going to be an awesome figure and you're going to love it. And you get to be part of, this fun. So there's no shame in having to make smart financial decisions at all.
I'm not talking about people passing for that. I'm talking about people passing solely because they think that they're not going to like it.
Yeah. Agreed 100%. And it's interesting because I hear a lot of people, and I've said this before, you got these two camps. You got people that the minute there's a hint of a new pre-order, you have some fans that are like, yes, bring it on. And then you have others that are like, oh my God, my wallet can't take this. Please stop. But I look at other toy companies. I look at Super 7. It seems like Super 7 drops a new Ultimates like wave like twice a week.
Yeah. It does seem like they're doing so many different IPs now. Or not? Well, is that the right word? Brand?
No, yeah, it is. Yeah. IP, intellectual properties. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they just dropped the new Thundercats character with the cool bike.
Yeah.
Mandora, is that her name?
That sounds right. Chick on a bike works for me.
Which is kind of Cosmic Legion-y, that bike, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like they just dropped that. And then I turned around and they did the Godzilla versus Biollante.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and they just did the new G.I. Joe one.
Yeah, I know.
And even though those are all different IPs, I don't have any Super 7. But I look at all those Ultimates and I'm like, I don't want any of those. I want all of them. Like, because I think that individually they're okay, but I think collectively that ultimate style they've built across all these different IPs is super cool.
It is.
I really love the fact that they're putting that style on it. But I look at how much they release. I collect Mezco. Thankfully, I only collect the original stuff, the Rumble stuff. But there are people that buy freaking Cornboy buys every Mezco they do. They're releasing stuff all the time. So I look at the pace of some of these other lines and I'm like, I don't really think that the Horsemen release stuff at that ridiculous a pace.
No, I totally agree. It's when you put the pace on top of a guy like me who does collect a lot of the Ultimates. Not all of them. Luckily, I'm able to. Luckily, like the Godzilla thing. Luckily, I'm not. I don't feel I need that in my collection, and I love it when they have one that I don't feel like I need. I'm like,
as soon as I saw those two, I saw Travis looking at that Biollante, going like, I can put that with Legions. Big plant monster. I'll put that with Bryophytus and Faunus and.
That man. You gotta love him.
Yeah, he's funny.
But yeah.
So awesome. Stay tuned. More information will be revealed in the build-up to April 2nd. Let's just say next week is going to be a very exciting week.
Good. I'm excited and I'm ready.
So Steven, I am very, very sad. Because I'm going to be at a toy show this weekend with Four Horsemen Studios. And the last time I did that was at Zolocon, and you were right next to me that whole time. Like anchoring me there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to be untethered at ToyCon New Jersey this weekend without you there with me.
I know. I had so much fun. I mean, the reason I was so excited to go to Zolocon was because of LegionsCon. LegionsCon, and you've said this a few times, we were all so busy we couldn't really hang out.
Yeah.
And you've said on this, we've said here before, the most I talked to you was in your hotel room the night before we left.
Yeah. Yep.
And so Zolocon was my chance to just a way more laid back scenario. Easily, you could just walk over to Jeremy and or any of the people. There was a lot of people I enjoyed talking to, but yeah, it was a really, really good experience. And I would love to be there this weekend, again with you guys.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So, for those watching, this coming Saturday and Sunday, March 26th and 27th, at the Wayne Pal in Wayne, New Jersey, is the first ToyCon New Jersey of 2022. Joe typically does a spring edition and a fall edition. The spring edition is this weekend. So Four Horsemen Studios will be there with their table of cool stuff that's going to be for sale. Like, other shows they've done. If you've been to these shows, you probably know the routine. They will have some of the more current waves that are available. For instance, at Zolocon, there was Reinforcements, there was All-Stars 4, and there was All-Stars 3. So those were on the table in pretty decent quantities. At the end of the show, we definitely packed up some of those. There's also going to be some surprises, some older stuff, nothing crazy. There's not going to be Sir Galerons and stuff and Othos. But there will be some, older stuff that is there in smaller quantities. Those are always limited to, one per person, like of each figure. And there's different ones that will be put out on Saturday and on Sunday. So you never know what you're going to see there, but they're going to have that big display. And then at Zolocon, Steven, you were there with the Wolf King Customs table. That worked really, really well to be able, because there was a lot of new fans at Zolocon that didn't know what Legions was about. So being able to come to the Horseman table and buy the product and meet the team and then go and see the possibilities at the Wolf King table was super, super cool. Len is right in the middle of processing the most recent pre-order. So this show fell at a time where it just didn't make sense for him to do it. So actually Legion Shop is going to be there with a pretty cool display to kind of fill that role of being able to show and sell some custom parts that you can use to add on to your Legion. So I'm going to be there. I'm actually going to be in the studio all next week. Next week's show will either be from the studio or from my hotel room, depending. I took off a Wednesday last time I went to the studio. I learned I can't do that again. People told me that I can't do that. So I will do it from New Jersey in some fashion. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for this weekend, Steven.
You should be. I wish I could be there. The show is, even outside of the Horsemen, it's a really cool show.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's a lot of great stuff there, and it's weird. I'm in this state where I'm lonesome for that atmosphere. So
the minute you walk away from it, you want it back.
Yeah.
So some interesting comments here. Let me read these. Damien saying Zolocon was awesome. ToyCon's going to be amazing too. Damien also saying Legions Con is in November. Death by Mexico, will their table be in the same spot as last year? It will be in the same spot as it was in November. So if you came to the November show, it was the room that it was in. It allowed the line to kind of go out a certain door. That's where the Horseman table is going to be, and the Legion's shop will be right across from it. I'll be there Sunday. I will see you then. Let's see. Star, stay tuned for information about how we're going to launch this. So Joe Vassapolo, who knows a little something about inventory, says Legions Con will have crazy stock, insane even. So you heard it right from him. If you needed yet another reason to come to Legions Con, there's going to be product. Start saving up because Legions Con is going to hurt when it comes to the wallets. There's going to be so much great stuff to buy at that show. Steven, will the Four Horsemen be at PowerCon? Yes, we will be at PowerCon in Ohio. PowerCon's a little bit of a different show because it's not like a local show that we can drive to. You won't see the massive display of product. PowerCon, traditionally, they sell the PowerCon tribute figures, and that's all. Nothing has been announced for what this year will look like yet, but it's a different kind of show because of the location.
But most importantly, I should be there.
Steven will be there, so
me and Jeremy do it. Possibly the whole "my wife's gonna kill me" crew. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I believe I'm going to be there too, Steven.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun again.
That's going to be fun. So Braku Prime is saying Steven hooked me up with a fallen head and shoulder armor at Zolocon. Beautiful work.
Oh, thank you. Glad you like it.
Steven, on that note, I got a little something to show you tonight. I haven't shown you much yet. A little surprise.
Okay.
Speaking of Zolocon,
ooh,
I purchased a head from you at Zolocon.
All right. Yes, you did.
So,
I remember.
I was looking at your painted heads, and I was like, you know what? This is really cool. And it was actually your Believer head, correct?
I think so. I think it was Believer.
So one of the characters that you and Emil created for God's Fire, you had painted this one with a blue color scheme. And I said, that's really cool. I'm going to buy that from Steven. Came back, loved the way it looked. I put together a custom, and I actually have not shown it yet, but I'm going to debut it on the show tonight. So
cool.
This is my Ice Lord. I call him Nakalos, which is Zolocon backwards. This is Lord Nakalos.
Oh, sweet.
So, a little fun story about this. This is the head that I bought off you. Now, I did add a little bit more paint to it. I painted a little bit more color under his eyes, and I painted his eyes with that like metallic silver. But other than that, totally your head. That sword that he's wielding is from Walter DeMarco sculpted that. I actually got that from the Wolf King table at that same show. And actually, this super cool shield and spear, Patrick Boyle painted those and gave them to me at the show as a birthday present. So when I came home from the show, I had my bag and I had the head I purchased from you, the sword that I stole from Len's table, and the shield and spear that Patrick had gifted me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to use all of these together right out of the gate. I knew I wanted to make like an Ice Lord type character. This is actually a Templar Legion Builder body that I painted, added some snow effects on it, painted the tunic, added those soft goods to create this character here.
That's super fun. And that's really a really fun thing that these shows that I get to go to or have like LegionsCon and like Zolocon, where I've just been able to just sit down, paint some heads, do some different things, and not have to worry about it. Because like I didn't worry about how to finish this figure. I painted that head. Jeremy takes it. Jeremy does this with it, and boom! Now I get to see what you did with it, and it's super fun to see what you did with that head.
And I got to tell you, Steven, I did something similar recently with the new series you're working on, Tribal Lands.
Right.
That shaman, that barbarian shaman that you did. I recently posted my like Deadlands version of that character, right?
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm loving doing that. And I almost imagine it like back in the day when I started collecting Spawn figures, where you'd get like the Spawn figure, and then like a couple months later, they would do like the variant, which was like different colors and stuff, like totally different take on the character.
Right.
I've been enjoying doing that with your and Emil's pieces. Because, and I've said this before, your characters are so fully realized. They have a story. They're super, super clear cut. And I love it. But I also love just saying, like, okay, these are so clearly that character. How can I do something that's so clearly not that character with the same part? Which is why I loved this head painted in blue so much. This is a perfect example of the minute I saw your paint job, I said, I want to make that like an Ice Lord, Ice Warrior type character. And I built everything around that idea. So tons of fun, but I wanted to show this on the show tonight to you because I heard on the My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast, you talking about how, Jeremy Gerard purchased a head for me because I paint that well. And I wanted to tell you, sir, that you are correct.
That's right. Well, thank you. And I'm glad you showed this to me because it's really cool. Really cool.
Okay, let's see. Do we have anything else on the list to cover tonight?
Yes,
I
we do.
did. One thing I will say is I just want to acknowledge Bill from Dorklair was talking about one of the comments that someone made today where they were saying that Four Horsemen shouldn't solicit another wave until the wave they've already solicited is actually in people's hands. And yes, I did read that comment. I didn't reply to it because it was absolutely insane. And if they did that, I wouldn't have a job. So
yeah,
I said, yeah, let's not do that thing.
I still say bring it on. Bring it on, Horseman. Give me a reveal a day.
Yeah, what do you got for me? What else is on the list?
Well, something that you want to talk about. Vox Machina.
Oh, dude, it's 9 o'clock and we forgot. I forgot about that.
We can go a little long, can't we? What
We
happens?
can go a little long.
Do we blow up?
We can go, because you know what?
We turn into a pumpkin?
No, but Mythic Conversation stops at 9. But you know what doesn't stop at 9?
LegionsCast.
LegionsCast.
Yeah. Every time me and you do a show, we go long.
So I reached out to you last week when we were talking about doing this show, and I said, have you watched the show Vox Machina on Amazon? And had you even heard of the show?
Yeah, I'd heard of it, but I had no context as to what it was.
Okay. The context that I was given, Anthony Houseel introduced me to it. And he said, similar like I did to you, are you watching Vox Machina? And I said, no, I have no idea what that is. And he said, imagine a Dungeons and Dragons campaign if Travis Bowles was the dungeon master and wrote all the dialogue. And I was like, I'm in. So I watched the show. Now, for people that may not know, and I'm not an expert at this, so I may get some of the facts wrong. My understanding is Vox Machina is based off a podcast called Critical Role. Critical Role are a number of professional voice actors who got together to play Dungeons and Dragons, and they live stream it. And because they are professional voice actors, they're freaking awesome. And they're able to really get into the characters and convey this. Critical Role has been around for a while, super, super popular. They've got a number of storylines they've done, different, campaigns. These characters in Vox Machina are apparently the first storylines that they did. Super, super cool. The characters themselves, it brings me back to the show that I did a few months ago where I talked about creating like an adventure party, a classic Dungeons and Dragons adventure party. The characters, there's a brother and sister that are like half elves. So she's more like a ranger. He's more like a roguish type character. There's 2 gnomes. One of them's a female cleric. One of them's a bard. The bard is very, very sex crazed. A lot of the humor in the show, a lot of the crassness in the show is from him. This is definitely not something you're going to watch with your kids.
No.
There's also a female elven druid type character.
Yeah.
There is a Goliath barbarian, and then there is a human artificer, engineer. I don't know exactly what you
Yeah.
would call it. More of a steampunky. He uses guns.
Yeah, and
Right.
he's my weirdest character.
So I reached out to you and I said, Steven, they're like 22-minute episodes. You got to watch it. I want to talk about it on the show. Did you watch it?
I have not finished it. I'm 5 episodes in or something.
5. Okay. There's 12. So you're in there. You're in there.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes are almost like a little pocket adventure, really introduces the group. And then the next 10 really focus on a pretty cohesive story. Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. More so the first, like you described it perfectly. The first 2 episodes, you get an adventure, you get a splattering of the characters, like, but you don't get like, you don't get deep into the characters. You're done with that, and you're like, well, that was a cool adventure. I get the idea of what these guys are, but then now I'm starting to see different sides of different characters, and it's pulling me in much more. Like I said, the steampunky guy is the weird one for me. His dress, the way he dresses is much. It's like too modern for me compared to what everybody else. He wears like collared shirts and vests, and it doesn't really fit with the other characters, in my opinion. I'm not saying he has glasses, and they're like very our world glasses, you know.
He also has. Have you? So I don't know what I can say. Has he put a mask on yet?
No.
Okay.
No, he has not. And I'm not worried about spoilers. You know, we should probably tell the audience that there may be spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything for everybody. Other than he has a mask.
Other than oh yes, he has. He just did. I was watching it before I started recording this. Yes. Okay. Yep. Saw it.
And it's a mask that's very much from our world.
Yes. Yes. It would be recognizable for sure. Yes. But favorite character, I think you probably know who my favorite character is.
Oh, you gotta like Grog, the Goliath barbarian.
Grog is hilarious. He not only is he a beast, he is hilarious. He's hilariously simple, and I love how simple he is.
I also love that they paired him with the most unlikely like person in that group that should be with him, and
like
that is
who he's attached to, like
the female gnome cleric.
Yes.
So the 2 of them, and if you watch the intro, the 2 of them, their introduction in the intro is epically cool.
Yeah.
So, who's my favorite? Can you guess?
Oh, you told me, so I can guess.
Who is it? Who did I tell you?
It's the Bard.
No, that's not my favorite at all. The Gnome Bard?
I thought that's what you said.
No, the Gnome Bard is not. The Gnome Bard's amusing. I mean, he gets all the best lines and stuff, but as a character, he's not my favorite.
Okay, so then who's your favorite?
Well, knowing you and the stuff you like, it was obvious you like the Big Barbarian.
What do you
do you even know me, Steven?
Yeah, so I suppose you like the girl character that, like, oh, the bear. Is the bear your favorite? There's no critter. There's not a critter, is there? Is there a critter?
Steven, I'm a complex man. I don't just like critters.
Who do you like? There's the girl, the one that has the powers.
No, it's the half-elf thief. I like the roguish type characters.
Oh,
he breaks into stuff. Okay. He's got those cool knives that appear and disappear.
Okay, yeah.
You don't even know me.
No, I don't, because I just thought bear. I thought critter right away.
You went right to the bear, and then you went to the girl that can turn into a critter.
Yeah, that's why I thought. I thought when I think of Jeremy, I think of critters. I think of foxes and rabbits, and I think of like Disney characters.
Yeah, wake up in the morning and it's like Snow White, and
Yeah, there's birds flying, or animated birds flying around your head.
That's pretty much what happens.
get you dressed. They like they fly your shirt up, your little.
And then Jim calls me.
Jim's kind of a critter, isn't he?
But I love the show. I can't wait for you to be done so we can talk about it. For people that haven't watched it, again, it is on Amazon Prime. It, like I said, it's definitely not a family affair. It's not the kind of thing you're going to watch with the kids. It is, got some language in it for sure. But it's a super fun show. It's very, very funny. I laughed out loud multiple times while watching it. And I cannot wait to see. I can't wait for a season 2, which apparently they've already said they are doing.
Yeah, I think that anybody who's listening to us tonight, and you're into these toys, I can't imagine you disliking it. Unless you just don't like, unless the language thing is a thing for you,
Yeah, if you are easily offended by language, sexual innuendo, and gobs of blood,
violence is key.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence. But if you're okay with those things, then I think you'll probably really enjoy it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And again, the diversity of characters, even just looking at some of the character designs, thinking. I wasn't thinking in Mythic Legions, I know I saw Anthony House Seal saying that he's going to be making, a Scanlan custom. I wasn't thinking, how am I going to make these guys into customs? I want to do that. But they totally could be. Like, these are the kinds of characters that you could absolutely make some cool Mythic Legions style versions of.
Yeah. That would be very fun. Man. Grog, I wish I could think of some of the lines he said that just cracked me right up.
There's a couple in the later episodes that are so good that he does that I have to talk to you about once. I have to talk to you about once he does them, because you're going to laugh.
He was, yes, I remember now. And he was eating human remains and he thought that they were spices.
It was like ashes, right?
Yeah, they were ashes in an urn. He's like, "What is this?" He just starts eating it. And she's like, "That's the remains of my ancestors." And he spits it out. It's great.
Well, there's also a scene where him and the male elf, because they have like a weird, funny rivalry going on where, almost like the rivalry that like Legolas and Gimli have.
Yeah.
Only if instead of them, trying to see how many opponents they can kill, it's more like them playing ball tag with each other.
Yes.
Which that's not. They literally, that is one of the things that they do.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious because, can you imagine getting hit by Grog?
Yeah. Will, I'm not going to bring that comment on screen, but that's the exact scene I want to talk to Steven about after it happens.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Nate Strong is saying that McFarlane got the license for the figures, and the two they've revealed so far are subpar.
Hopefully they got the toe articulation. That's all I care about is toe articulation.
And that is a sexy articulation point.
Skip the thigh swivel and give me toes. All right.
I think I'm good. Is there anything else that we want to talk about tonight? Are we good?
I'm good, buddy. Let's do this.
Steven, thank you so much for joining me once again. You are by far the most prolific guest I have had on this website.
Nice.
This website.
This show.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. We're going away. I'm getting emotional. You have had you on more than any others. These are always some of my most enjoyable shows and some of my most well-received. You are heavily requested by your fans to join me. So thank you for doing episode 85 of Mythic Conversations, which is also unofficially chapter 30 of LegionsCast.
Yeah. Hey, maybe can you rip me the audio of this and I can post it as an episode?
I absolutely can.
Yeah.
Absolutely can.
Thanks for having me. I always have a ball. Hey, anytime you need somebody to bounce things off from, I'm available.
I love it. So with that, as I said, I will be back next week. Steven, hang out for a minute. We'll hang out backstage after the show's done. For everybody else, I'll be back next week. Same Mythic time, same Mythic channel, different location. Until then, what is it? We see you around the campfire. Is that what we say, Steven?
See you around the land of mythos.